Hello and welcome to another lecture of Government and Politics. I am Muhammad Tahmidul Islam, lecturer, Department of Law, World University of Bangladesh, and I welcome you all to our topic of discussion today, which is Government and Politics of Bangladesh, Historical Background, Part 1. So, we are going to talk about these three subtopics, which are ancient governments of the Bengal region, the Hindu and the Buddhist period, the Muslim period. So let's first talk about the ancient governments of the Bengal region. The ancient history of the Bengal region has mostly been lost and forgotten due to lack of written scriptures. However, we can find a few information on the pre-Aryan Bengal from the Vedic and Purana texts and archaeological evidences. So if we have to look at the history of pre-Aryan civilization, the Indus civilization in the Indian subcontinent, we have to look at the archaeological evidences, because apart from those evidences, we do not have a lot of things to work with, because the written scripture was not present in those civilizations. Before the arrival of Aryans from the Caucasus, indigenous people used to live in the river basins of Bengal. The region was not known as Bengal. Ancient Greeks and Romans referred to this place as Gangaridai, which a powerful kingdom whose war elephants fought off Alexander the Great's attack. So this place was known to the outside world. The Bengal region, it was known in a different name. The people from Europe, the Greeks and the Romans, used to call this place Gangaridai, which means the place of Ganga, or the river Ganga. So this place has been known by the river from a long time ago, and it was a powerful kingdom, and it had war elephants that fought the massive military of Alexander the Great and defeated him. The Bengal region was divided in many parts known as Vanga, Pundro, Radha or Raro, Gauro, Shamatat and Harikel, which were inhabited by local aboriginals. It took the Aryans thousands of years to take over all of the Bengal region from the aboriginals and establish their culture and religion in the region. So the Aryans were not an abolishing military force. They did not, contrary to popular belief, they did not kill all the aboriginals. They just moved in, they did trades, and sometimes they did conquer some places and killed the kings, but they actually spread peacefully through the region, and it took thousands of years. So Aryan account of the lives of the indigenous people are very few and mostly negative, as they saw the indigenous people as uncultured. So the Aryans had a belief that as they are possessing more modern means of technology and that sort of things in that time, they were superior, and the indigenous people who lived primitive life, those indigenous people are inferior. So that was the Aryan account, and in their Vedas and texts, we see that those aboriginal people are referred to as in a negative light, as bad people, as immoral people. It is believed that the aboriginals had tribal system of government similar to the ancient civilizations. So we can guess from the accounts or from the histories of other aboriginal civilizations that our aboriginals were also a part of the tribal governmental system. They had their tribes and they had their own forms of small governments. Those governments were localized and decentralized, and thus could not gather effective force to counter the Aryan invasion, and were subjugated later by the invaders. So Aryans were seen as invaders by the local aboriginal population, because their culture were vastly different. The Hindu culture of the Aryans, it was vastly different from the ancient aboriginal culture. So they saw the Aryans as invaders, and they saw the Aryans as different kinds of rulers who had consolidated the power and who subjugated a lot of the Aboriginal people, and given them the lower status in their societies, because we know that Aryan societies were divided along the lines of kings, religious person, fighters, businessmen, and then in the last portion there were just the day laborers. So in this picture we are seeing that the Bengal region, which now we call as the West Bengal and Bangladesh. So that region was divided into many fragmented places. So in the ancient era, all of these places had different types of rules and regulations and different types of governments. We see that Banga area, which is the southern part of the Bangladesh, that was a different region. We see uh, the Shamatot area, which was uh, the Kumilla and Chattogram area, which was regarded as a different zone. So all of these were inhabited by different groups of Aboriginal people. So after the Aryan invasion, after the Aryan integration, the Hindu and the Buddhist period started. So the Hindu kings of Bengal were the continuation of the Aryan rule over the Bengal. There were many powerful Hindu kings who ruled over different regions of Bengal before the Turkic and the Mongol invasion. So before the Turkish people came into Bengal, and before the Mughal Empire began, the Hindu kings were the rulers of Bengal. And not only the Hindu kings, there were a few Buddhist kings as well. The Maurya dynasty was one of the earliest Hindu rulers of Bengal. 2nd century BC, which was replaced by the Guptas in the 4th century AD. So the Mauryas actually started the Hindu kingdom officially in the Bengal region. And later, Gauda Empire or the Gauro Empire emerged as a powerful political entity under the rule of Shashanko. And Hindu kings derived their power from religious scriptures and did not have the power to alter the religious rules. It was a pure theocracy. So the Hindu rulers were Kshatriyas, and they had to abide by the rules given in the religious scriptures of Purans and their Ved, and what the higher class of people actually told them to do, which was the Brahmins, the Purohits. So they had to follow those theocratic rules. So it was a pure theocracy. Buddhism also gained popularity among the Bengalis, and Buddhist kings came into power in the later period of post-ancient history of Bengal. Pala Empire is one of the famous Buddhist empires that patronized many Buddhist monasteries throughout the Bengal region. So Pala Empire, when it came to power, it actually ushered in a different time or a different revitalization of the Buddhist belief in Bengal region. Hindu Sena dynasty came into power, or the Shen dynasty. It came into power in the early medieval period after defeating the Palas, and they were the last Hindu kings of the region. So Sen dynasty defeated Pals, who were Buddhist, and they came into power, which was the last Hindu kingdom of Bengal. The Hindu and Buddhist kings of Bengal were monarchs who ruled as per religious scriptures and cultural norms. They patronized arts and culture and religious endeavors to keep the Brahmins satisfied and the people docile. So all the rulers had to keep the Brahmins, or the highest class of people who had the sole authorship of the religious texts, they had to keep them happy, and they had to keep the people docile. They had to keep the people satisfied even. So they had to follow the rules of and rituals of their religion. So here we are seeing an aerial view of Paharpur Buddhist temple, which is now an archaeological site in Bangladesh, and it is the example of the Pala Empire's patronization of Buddhist temple in all over the Bengal region, which were later destroyed. So now let's talk about the Muslim period, which came after the Sen period, or the Shen dynasty. The Muslim ruler of Bengal started with the Turkic invasion in the beginning of the 13th century, and the deposition of the Sena dynasty's last king, Laxmana Sena or Lokhon Sen, in Nabadip by Turkic Afghan general Ikhtiar-ud-Din Muhammad bin Bakhtiar Khalji in 1203. So the Turkish Afghan general, when he defeated Laxmana Sena or Lokhon Sen in the year of 1203, that time the Muslim period began. The subsequent sultans gradually grew the Muslim Sultanate in a span of 200 years in Bengal until the Mughals took over and annexed the region into the Mughal Empire. So, after Ikhtiar-ud-Din, there were many sultans who ruled the Bengal region, and they grew their power, they grew their region. And after that, after 200 years, the Mughals came and they annexed that place. They annexed the Bengal region, the whole of the Bengal region, into the Mughal Empire. The sultans were theocratic monarchs who ruled their subjects as per Islamic religious laws. They funded numerous mosques and patronized Islamic preachers all over the region during their rule. So they had a very soft spot for Muslim converts and Muslim preachers. So they patronized them. They assisted the Muslim preachers in establishing mosques all over the region to create loyal followers and to facilitate the spread of Islam in this region. So here we are seeing a painting of Ikhtiar-ud-Din Khalji after the destruction of a Buddhist monastery. So there were a lot of Buddhist monasteries, and almost all of them were destroyed. So, and the Buddhists had to flee to Nepal and to the mountainous region of Nepal and Bhutan. They had to flee due to the invasions and due to the destruction of their temples. The political control of the Bengal region changed hands from the Sultans to the Mughals, and back and forth for centuries till the British East India Company took control of Bengal in 1757 in the Battle of Plassey against Nawab Siraj-ud-Dowlah. So in 1757, when Nawab Siraj-ud-Dowlah was defeated in the Battle of Plassey against the East India Company, that was the end of the Islamic rule or the Muslim rule or the Muslim period in general in Bengal. The dethroning of Nawab Shiraz marked the end of the Muslim period in Bengal. The Muslim rulers of the Bengal took a balanced approach in governing the people of Bengal, who were mostly Hindu and Buddhist. That is why, despite being a minority religious group, they managed to reign for such a long period of time, which is 1203 to 1757, which is 500 years. So the Muslim period started in 1203 and it ended in 1757. And they ruled for 500 years. And, they were, all that time, they were the minority religious group. So the majority people accepted their rule. So they had to do something right to rule for that long time. So I hope you have understood the lecture content. Our topic today was pretty interesting, which talked about the ancient governmental system of the Bengal. And we have talked about the ancient period where the aboriginals were living in the Bengal region. And then we have talked about the Hindu period and the Buddhist period. And then lastly, we talked about the Muslim period. So I hope you have understood the lecture content. And if you face any problem understanding the lecture, you're free to ask any question in the comment section, and I will answer accordingly. So thank you for participating in today's lecture, and I hope to see you all in the next lecture. Thank you.